The good times just keep on rolling. The Charlotte Hornets win 8 games in a row for the first time in ever. In ever. What does it mean? Where are we going? We'll give you a trade recap. A beautiful episode is on the way. Locked On Hornets.
Hornets!
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
Bernie Mac once said, you know it's long when you don't even put the 4 on it and you just say ever. Instead of forever, it's just ever long. That's how you know it's long. Been a long time since the Hornets won 8 games. Doug Branson, Walker Mail, Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. And speaking of Doug Branson, you can find him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, Yahoo Sports Daily, grinding through Super Bowl week. Jason Fitz, Caroline Fitton, putting out extra awesome content with Doug helping out behind the scenes. Yahoo Sports Daily. Go check it out. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 FM. Real quickly, do want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football. I mean, the real last call. Like, this is it, folks. I don't think we're going to have an emergency podcast. So this is the real deal, baby. Today is among the last few days that you have to get on FanDuel with the Super Bowl Sunday game coming up. If you're if you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win by going to FanDuel. Speaking of winning, the Hornets do that all the time. That's all they do. They beat the Rockets 109-99. Doug, the Hornets have won 8 straight games. Now, that might not be as significant to other franchises as it is to us.
To any other franchise. Yeah. To literally any other franchise since 2000.
Right, like NBA franchise, right? Like any
I don't know. There are a lot of other franchises, too.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the point. That's the joke, is that, no, you are right. You are not exaggerating. Any other sports franchise, any other North American sports franchise, it does not mean as much as it does with us, because they have not won 8 straight games since 1999. And my buddy Smoke, the producer of the Kyle Bailey Show, he tweeted out the last time that the Hornets won 8 straight games, December 18th, 1999, against the Miami Heat. And if you look at that box score, it's pretty beautiful. Mm-hmm. Eddie Jones had 24 points. Derek Coleman had 19. Oh, my God. David Wesley, 13. Bobby Phills, RIP, with 18 off of the bench. Mm-hmm. That's the last time the Hornets won 8 straight games. And if you look at the teams that they've beaten, Doug, they've just gone down the top 5 seeds in the Western Conference and spanked all of them. And I mean spanked in a couple of these instances. OKC, craziest win that we've seen.
See ya.
That's right. San Antonio, just the other day, beat them. Denver didn't have all their guys. Fair enough. Still beat you. We're going to count it. They just beat
Denver.
Houston.
Gets the win.
They beat Houston last night as the 4 seed, and they beat the LA Lakers as the 5 seed. 1 through 5. Beat them all. Here they are on an 8-game winning streak. Thoughts on the game last night over the Rockets?
It was great. Obviously down Collin Sexton because of the trade. Josh Green stepping up in a huge way. Let me get here. Tied a career high with 4 steals, 14 points, 100% field goal percentage. Pretty good. And Josh Green did the thing that I wanted Josh Green to do all last season, which is man down, step up. Like, you're the guy. We need you. We don't always need you, but when we need you, we need you. And they got him in a big way in this game. He was knocking down threes. He just he looks more spry. And it makes me think that maybe Josh Green was dealing with a lot more physically than we understood last season. And so maybe I was too hard on him last season. I can admit that, because he looks like a different basketball player right now, just physically. And big contributions from him in the win last night. And I think, to me, Walker, it's an affirmation of Jeff Peterson deciding to stick with this core at the trade deadline, not messing with a good thing that they go out and they lead by 20. Now, we can talk about the end of the game, that Ime Udoka pulls all the starters and those scrappy bench players kind of put it to the Hornets a little bit at the end of the game. But for the core part of this game, they took control and kept control, and that's been the story of the streak so far. Their ability to maintain control of a basketball game and not let it wildly slip on runs here or there. Before I toss it back to you, I have to do the thing that you always have to do when something happens in sports, but it's been a long time. And that's, of course, you have to go back to December of 1999 and tell people what the Billboard pop songs, top 100 is. Are you ready for this?
Yep, I'm ready.
It's Smooth by Santana. It's Mambo number 5 by Lou Bega. It's Waiting for Tonight by Jennifer Lopez. Back at 1 by Brian McKnight. And Steal My Sunshine by Lynn. I am in what was the pizza place where you would go in and you would make your own pizza?
Oh, I forget.
No, there were a lot of pizzas.
Pizza?
What's that?
Was it Papa's Pizza? Like just
I don't
Papa's?
No, they'd say, welcome to... Oh my gosh, somebody's going to put it in the comments because they would always yell at you when you walk in.
Moe's.
Anyhow,
It's Moe's. Welcome to Moe's. That's what it is.
Well, that's Moe's. Moe's did that after this pizza place did it. I'll figure it out in the break. But I say that because I'm there in Gastonia, North Carolina. I've got my Pokemon cards out. I am ready to go into Books A Million and dominate with my Haymaker deck. And it is 1999. Smooth is on the radio, and the Hornets have an eight-game winning streak. It's incredible.
I think Mambo number 5 hits me the hardest. That's the one where I'm like, goodness gracious, that was top 5. That's the one that hits me the hardest. Not to focus too much on Josh Green. This does not seem like it should be a full-on Josh Green episode. I will say, if you go back to last year and look at what the Hornets were asking him to do, they were asking him to start every game and play 30 minutes a pop. This year, they're asking him to appear, not start, but appear in 28 games and play 16 minutes a pop, especially in a fully healthy body. Monster difference when you're not asking for the moon from Josh Green and he plays, I don't know, the role you expected him to play when you traded for him, ideally, splitting minutes with a Sion James, who is a second-round rookie. Of course you're going to look a lot better. Of course the efficiency is going to look up. And every once in a while, he actually contributes in a bigger way because he's doing more stuff. Shout out, tip of the cap to Josh Green, who stays on board, does not get traded. He is a part of all of this success. Let's talk about the guys that were traded and who they were traded for. Coming up next, go ahead. You got something else you wanted to go to real quickly?
Welcome to CC's. It was CC's Pizza. Welcome to CC's.
Oh my God, CC's. They did welcome to CC's. I don't remember them saying welcome.
Yes, they screamed. They screamed at you, and then they welcomed you to eat their dessert pizza and all of their offerings. Welcome to CC's. Also, just have to mention before we move on to the trades, the Hornets are officially in the 10th slot in the Eastern Conference, tied with the Chicago Bulls, who they just fleeced for Coby White.
Yeah, they are in, baby. If the season were to end today, then they would be in the play-in tournament, which is a beautiful thing. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Welcome to CC.
He's everywhere.
Let's give you a trade deadline recap. You had Jeff Peterson dealing even after the deadline. If you let the timestamps of the Shams tweets tell the story, what does it mean that they actually did not keep Mike Conley or Tyus Jones? Instead, they have Malachi, Branham, and Xavier Tillman on the roster. We'll get to all of that coming up next. LOH. Before we do, I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by DoorDash. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun. Because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert right now. So let that be the therapy. Those late night interview hits, suddenly you need chips at midnight. Yeah, that's fine. DoorDash is built exactly for that. From tip off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. This episode is also brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. And that's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo. the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number, so nothing gets missed. It works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, you can get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO, quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Thanks for making Locked On Hornets your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayers Club today, and you can get Locked On Hornets with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month. That's it. Or you could pay $50 a year. Go to lockedonhornets.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Trade deadline recap, because they were busy really the last couple of days. The Hornets, after acquiring Tyus Jones, something we didn't talk about because it just didn't happen by the time that we released the episode, discussing Coby White in exchange for Collin Sexton. Mike Conley coming over as well. That name is important because of what happened over the last 24 hours with him also. So afterwards, the Hornets actually acquired Tyus Jones from the Orlando Magic with a couple of second-round picks attached to Tyus because Orlando was trying to duck the luxury tax, and the Hornets, all they gave up was cash considerations. All literal dollars and cents, didn't give up anything, and they allowed the Magic to duck the tax, and the Hornets can absorb that contract because of the mid-level exception that they had. They had room to where they did not have to match salary, so it just was a nice little puzzle piece that fit all together. Then the question became, are they going to keep Tyus Jones? Are they going to keep Mike Conley? What's going to happen? Because at the time they made the trade for Tyus Jones, they were maxed out at 15 roster spots. So then after that trade, a couple hours later, it's updated that Pat Connaughton was waived. Pat Connaughton, great locker room guy, great bench guy, dyes the hair, phenomenal dude, but they end up wanting to get the deal done. So Pat Connaughton out, Tyus Jones in, and then within 20 minutes of the deadline yesterday, I think we got the update at like 2:40, maybe 2:30, something like that. We see that Tyus Jones is then rerouted to Dallas in exchange for Malachi Branham, my guy, my 2022 NBA draft crush. He's rerouted to Dallas for Malachi Branham, and it opens up a $7 million trade exception, which is what I think is probably the most valuable here for Charlotte, in that they can put that $7 million in a bucket. They don't have to match salaries, and $7 million wiggle room is more valuable to Jeff Peterson. And also, they do buy out Mike Conley, and then they go trade for Xavier Tillman. So the Celtics, they traded Xavier Tillman to the Hornets. Don't have the details on what Charlotte gave up. I couldn't find it, at least not at the time of this recording. But Xavier Tillman, it was announced. I guess I need to look up the details on what they gave up. But Xavier Tillman is a member of the Hornets as well, so they get some front court depth. And that's the roster. No Tyus Jones, no Mike Conley. Instead, it's Malachi Branham and Xavier Tillman on Charlotte's roster. All right, I throw all of that at you. What are your thoughts with some cash considerations? Second round pick in 2030 is what Boston ended up receiving. So I throw all of that at you. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that Chef Jeff continues to deliver delicious value meals to the consumers of Hornets basketball. And it's wonderful because it's a front office that is paying attention. It's a front office that is still delivering players that can contribute in a significant way to winning in Coby White. And at the same time, having the relationships and being the team that facilitates teams getting under the tax can allow you to do that and at the same time keep, or even in some cases extend or increase the amount of assets that you have to eventually make moves. But we should recognize, and I'm not saying this in a critical way, I'm just saying we should recognize that all of the moves have been value meals. And I think the question to continue to ask is, when will those value meals turn into some more risky dining options, some gourmet meals that come with it the possibility that it could either taste amazing or taste great? Because look, when I go to McDonald's or when I go to any fast food restaurant, I know I'm getting value, and generally I know I'm getting consistency. When I get the meal, it's going to be great. When I go to a nice restaurant and I order something off the menu, particularly if it's in another language, I'm not sure what I'm going to get, but it could be the best meal of my life, or I could say, I might need to now go to a fast food restaurant and get some fries or something after this meal because I'm not quite full. And so I thought that Nick Carboni, our friend of the show from WCNC, asked the pertinent question to Jeff Peterson, essentially like, when are we going to see the Hornets use all of these assets, these first-round picks and the bucket of second-round picks? By the way, second-round picks now kind of like Bitcoin to me. I don't understand it. I don't understand if they actually have value. It's like NFTs. It's like all this stuff. I think second-round picks only have value insofar as other teams see it as value. It's not draft value. It's not player value anymore. It's just like, they're only going to be valuable as long as you can keep passing 5 or 6 of them along to someone else. But at some point, the market is going to crash on second-round picks when everyone realizes, why are we just moving these picks around? Nobody picks in the second round where they're supposed to anymore. Nobody cares about the players. It's crazy. But here's what Jeff Peterson said to Nick Carboni's question. When a big move might come, given all the capital. He said, quote, "We will know when the time is right. In the summer, we'll figure out who this team is." That is the closest, Walker, that I have heard this front office say anything about making a big move or moving this team in a certain direction. It's all been patience, patience, patience. And it's kind of that in this quote, but it's just a little bit of a hint that maybe this summer they're preparing for something big.
I think it's funny because Jeff Peterson set himself up for that question a million different times when they came up with the introduction in Hornets Real Access, when he has the voiceover in the background of all of the new projects that they're working on over there close to the Spectrum Center. And it's Jeff Peterson's voice. We'll know when the time is right to push all of the chips in and really make a move. So now every time that there is a deadline, every time there's a draft, it's, hey, when is the time to push all the chips in? So he set himself up. Yeah, here we are talking about the moves, right? So they go after Malachi Branham. They go after Xavier Tillman. They had Mike Conley. They had Trey Mann. They had Tyus Jones all on the roster. And in the end, Trey somehow survives. And I guess I'm not surprised about that. I just imagine they tried to trade him, ended up not doing it. Jeff Peterson gave him a big time vote of confidence in what he said about Trey after the deadline, saying we have a lot of confidence in him, saying that we trust him. We know that he's going to work through this, and ended up not doing it really last night with a lot of missed shots. But, maybe it happens later on down the line. They're going to have to rely on him with Coby White not available until after the All-Star break with this calf injury. And Lord knows, you got to be careful with calf injuries these days with all of the Achilles injuries that they turn into. Yep. So the Coby White stuff, something a little bit there to monitor. Hopefully that he's going to be a healthy player. But Trey Mann, he's your point guard off of the bench right now that you lean on, especially with them not using KJ Simpson. Doug, I've talked about it a lot. There's not been any moves that I think Jeff Peterson has made during his tenure that I wholeheartedly disagreed with. And that's still true even after the trade deadline. I don't even know if I got to a close enough place to where I really criticize it. The Tijon Salon draft pick is probably the one that you could go back, look at, and say, I might do something different. If you had a time machine and Jeff Peterson had the option to go into the time machine and go back a couple of years ago, he might make a different selection. He would never tell you that. But I think that might be the only thing that he would change on his journey in the past. You still bring in Josh Green. I think it's fine, especially with the way that he played last night and the way he's been playing this year. I think that's the only move that he might change, and maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he has enough belief in Tijon figuring it out. Here's what I'll say. I tweeted through this a little bit. I would have liked to have kept one of those guys in Mike Conley and Tyus Jones, because I think when you're threading the needle on trying to focus on the future, but also you have a roster right now that is destroying teams with your Killer Bees lineup, your starting five. You don't have as much depth, but what has been the biggest issue when the bench comes in to the game? It's been a disorganization of the offense, not having a guy that can run things in a smooth manner, and the offense really plummets. They lean on their defense, which is a nice identity to have with that second unit, and they've played really well. But when LaMelo is out or he gets injured for a brief moment like he did when he collided with Charles Lee, who do they lean on? They don't go to Collin Sexton. They don't go to KJ Simpson. They don't go to Trey Mann. They go to Sion James, and it just doesn't work nearly as well. I think they needed that club in their bag to go after an organizer of the offense, to come in with the second unit or run with some of the starters if LaMelo gets in foul trouble or he gets hurt a little bit and doesn't turn the ball over. Because right now, they quite literally don't have a guy on their roster that is good at protecting the basketball. LaMelo is the best that they have. He's even in the 40th percentile, but guess what? Nobody's LaMelo. LaMelo gets to do what he wants when you're that special of a player, all right? We want you trying to force some passes because it gets through a lot of the times with your creativity. You're one of the best passers in the league. Everybody else, they turn it over a lot, and they don't have the passing gift that LaMelo has. So you had two guys on the roster in Mike Conley and Trey Mann, and Tyus Jones, that didn't turn it over. That's all you wanted, really. Can you dribble? Can you get the offense in their sets? Can you organize everybody in line enough to not plummet when LaMelo's off of the floor? And they don't have that. So I would have liked to have kept Tyus at least. If Mike Conley was so hell-bent on ring chasing, going back to Minnesota, we'll see where he ends up after the buyout. But I would have liked to have kept Tyus, even if it was at the expense of my guy in Malachi Branham. The trade exception, okay, I get it. But, man, we're in a playoff race. There are some win now moves, at least on the margins, to be made. So if they lose games because they just can't score, if LaMelo's not out there on the floor organizing everything around him, I'm going to look back at the deadline and say, you had two guys that could have done that. If one was so hell-bent on ring chasing, you had one in Tyus that you could have kept, and they decided not to. It's just something I'm going to be paying attention to. The trade exception, I get it. It's still a future play because you can't use it right now. You have to use it in the offseason because the deadline's done, baby. You're not going to use it. Those are my thoughts. Yeah. That's the thing that I worry about a little bit with the Hornets having so much momentum heading in to this play-in/playoff race. Last thing I guess I'll say is at least they did get some front court depth. Small guy in Xavier Tillman. It can shoot a little. He can shoot. It's not great. He does shoot. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on like the win now portion of the winning on the margins.
Yeah, the Branham and the Tillman thing to me is just like a little bit of toughness, a little bit of defense, a little bit of depth. I mean, that's all it was there. I mean, it's the tough thing about the deadline is that the Hornets were obviously excited enough about the core not to touch it. There were reports from Chris Haynes that they got calls on LaMelo from Minnesota. When were those calls? Were those calls late? Were those calls early? Who knows? But they've gotten calls on some of these guys, and they said, all right, whatever. The packages weren't good enough, or they didn't want to touch the core at all costs. Whatever happened, they didn't shake things up. But they obviously... they're not hitting the gas. They're not putting the gas pedal to the metal. They're not getting into the fast lane and saying, all right, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that this team is equipped to win a playoff series, because I think they recognize correctly that this team is still one injury to LaMelo or multiple role player injuries away from not being a factor at all. That the things that they would have to do to get this team actually playoff series ready would be so significant of a risk. And it obviously wasn't worth it to them. So I hear all of what you're saying, and it would have been pretty easy to keep one of those guys. To me, I'm more concerned. You're concerned about the backcourt. I'm still concerned about the front court issue, the issues that they have there, and the injuries. If they take one injury to Kalkbrenner, what does that mean? In terms of their ability to compete in a playoff series. I think that's interesting, but. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously this was an interesting deadline because the winning streak obviously changed a lot of calculations for the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah. And
by the way, I got a big dub hat on because I still think the trade deadline was a big win. And obviously, when you break an 8-game or when you break a streak of not having an 8-game winning streak that goes all the way back to 1999, how can you get bigger dub than that? I think this is the biggest dub in the history of the Big Dub hat. I mean, Smooth by Santana was the #1 song the last time the Hornets did something that they did last night. Just like the ocean under the moon.
I think a lot of that says how painful a life the Big Dub hat has led. But it is. I think you're right. All right, we got one more.
It's starting. Listen. This is not. This is not high quality material. Okay, I'll just be real with you.
Yeah, the W is
It wasn't meant to be worn this much. It's starting to I'm gonna have to go to some repairs on this. You can see the W is even slightly tilted. It's been on the shelf for months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think crazy. You can see the duct tape starting to wear just a little bit on that hat. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere!
All-Star Weekend. I can't believe it. This is the owner that we've had that's going to participate in the Celebrity All-Star Game. We do have a shooter participating in All-Star Weekend. We'll get to all of that coming up next, LOH. I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. We appreciate FanDuel, and if you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. We appreciate them for that. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Last couple things just on the current iteration of the roster here, because I was surprised to see both of these guys gone. I know that it looked like Mike Conley was going to get bought out pretty immediately.
You're right. Can I pause you just for 1 second?
Yeah.
I'm genuinely. You seem genuinely hurt. It's like this reserve point guard issue has hit you in a special way. I want to recognize, as your friend. I just want to recognize.
Yeah. I hope that it's not looking like that. I don't want to. Yeah. Interesting. No, I'm not losing sleep over it. It's something to monitor, right? If we continue to talk about going after the playoffs for the first time ever, and it's been a real issue, how many times have we talked about when LaMelo's off of the floor that they've ruined their chances of winning? Speaking of something sticking to your heart, right? I know it was a big deal for you when they weren't starting LaMelo because they didn't have anybody to run the offense. So
I did lose sleep.
I know.
Did lose sleep
I know.
over that.
So when you don't have anybody that can run the offense, when LaMelo's not on the floor, and now Trey Mann, who is not getting run, is now going to get your run, and Coby White can't play until after the All-Star break, but even then he's doing the Collin Sexton thing, right? I mean, he's not doing the, hey, everybody get in place and I'll hit you for some easy bucket stuff. And then you had two of those guys. Perhaps I'm overblowing this. I don't want to do that. I'm just saying it's been a big issue all year long. I thought you had two answers to that, just as a lob wedge you can grab when you're in the sand, and now I don't think you have a lob wedge anymore. I think you traded it for a trade exception. That's my only thing. And if it works out to where Sion develops and the offense doesn't look nearly as poor when he's running the offense there, he's just overtaxed. We're asking a second-round guy as a rookie to say, hey, this is the hottest the Hornets have ever been ever. Can you handle this without I do have a question about that when you had those answers on the roster, or attempts at those answers on the roster, and it could show up in what is still right now a pretty tight race to sneak into the playoffs.
Okay, two quick things on the point guard situation. I don't agree with you, because as I said in the last episode, I'd rather them spend the time continuing to develop Sion, even if it means they are a worse basketball team, because I still think this season is you're playing with house money. I think you can get into the play-in. Hopefully you get into a playoff series, and if you get blanked, you get blanked, because you're getting Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Con Knippel. You're getting them important playoff experience that then you can take into the summer, reconfigure the team to actually be competitive. Because I think a lot of people, and I'll shift this into the front court, I think a lot of people look at the Zubac deal that happened, the trade that went down for Indiana. He goes to Indiana. It's
Great
a couple
trade.
of second-round picks. Clippers they're coming apart. There was some talk of the Hornets calling about Zubac as well. And you look at the Triple J deal for Jaren Jackson. Those 3 picks were doo-doo picks. You really feel like the Hornets could have gotten involved there. But the thing with the Indiana deal is they're in a gap year. They can bring Zubac in, and they can get him all adjusted to what it means to play with the rest of the Pacers. And then you get a summer of Tyrese getting back, and they get all of that figured out and move on. It's a different situation with the Hornets, where they have this core of players that are playing so well that if you mess with that really in any significant way, you are going to be playing with fire, and that it could all fall apart. And that would be a little bit of a disaster. And it's different when you make a deal in the summer. If they were to do a Zubac or find something in the summer, well, then you've got some time to figure all of that out heading into the season.
Well, yeah, the Zubac, I don't think, right, that's right. I don't think Tyus Jones being on the team would have been a nuclear bomb to the chemistry. Like, I think it actually would have helped.
I was separating those two things.
Yes, okay, I just wanted to make that clear. Like, getting to Zubac, that was a great trade for Indiana, by the way. Goodness, the fact that they could get a top 4 pick and have Zubac with all of the role players outside of Benedict Mathurin next year, Tyrese Halliburton coming back, they could really make a run at things with that trade. But yeah, look, I probably am making too much of it. I do think a little bit of a Freaky Friday thing, because I know you have been hell-bent on getting to the postseason for the first time in ever. And I do think this is something that has been an issue the entire season. And I felt like they could have done something to alleviate that at the very least. Just have the club in your bag. It doesn't mean you need to use it all the time over Sion, but you don't have it now. You don't have that option where you used to, but instead you got a trade exception. Maybe they use the trade exception for something just glorious and it helps them in the future, and maybe that's the case. Just something I'm monitoring. You're right, I'm probably making too big of a deal out of it.
You're gonna have a trade exception tracker like I did on the whole situation around the 2022 draft and not making that pick. As soon as Malachi Branham's name came up, I was like, bam, the Hornets finally made a second pick in the 2022 draft. Listen, we all have the things that we get hyper focused on. Mine was the 2022 draft.
Yeah.
Yours is the reserve point guard position for the Charlotte Hornets.
I feel like I'm being gaslit though, because I don't want it to be that I'm so focused on it. But fair enough. You're like,
my job is to gaslight you. That's my job on this show.
Hey, maybe we focus on this. Oh my God. Oh, I'm just like, maybe we just focus on it. Okay. Rick Schnall participating in the celebrity.
This is what I want to focus on.
Yeah, feel free, because it's not Michael Jordan, baby. It's Rick Schnall, who is playing in the Celebrity All-Star game during All-Star break. And what's interesting too is, like, he told us that he would play quite a bit. I think he said that he's mixed it up a little bit with the players, which is a hilarious concept, by the way. Who is the one that has enough competitive spirit, competitive joy to go block Rick Schnall's shot into the 5th row if they're playing out there on the hardwood in the Spectrum Center? It doesn't matter here, right? He's not your boss in the Celebrity All-Star game. You can swat him as much as you want to. Really cool to see our owner out there, though. I think it's a cool thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's great. I mean, it's great because, again, Schlotkin, Rick Schnall, Gabe Plotkin, they are invested in this team. They haven't made the big splashy move, but in all of these little moves, there is investment, not in trying to stay significantly under the salary cap. They have invested in trying to make this team better, and the reputation building that they've done across the league, I think, is obvious. And the Hornets are getting a lot more credit for things that they are doing because because they care. I mean, look, for all of Michael Jordan's faults as somebody that ran basketball operations for teams and owned teams, like, there were mistakes that were made, but a lot of them were in the service of trying to do something to make the team better. But unfortunately, by the end of that tenure, that wasn't the case anymore. It became more about financials. I just don't feel like his level of care and investment in it really matched what it needed to be to have a successful franchise. And now you can see when he really cares about something, like NASCAR, the cars that he races now, he cares about it so much that he sued NASCAR. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the level of care that he has for what he's doing. He's saying, hey, NASCAR, you're treating me unfairly. I'm going to sue you. Never got that towards the end. But Schnall does it, so this is cute. I want to see him out there balling with Taco Fall. Who's on his team here? Keegan-Michael Key, I know that name. Giannis is his coach. Hey, Giannis is his coach. Little soft tampering there for the summer. A little soft tampering.
Love it. In the locker room, just saying, hey, what if you wanted to come over and play for Charlotte? I'm just saying, man. We got that trade exception. we could go after you.
$7 million. What do you think?
We can just put that over in a bucket, buddy. It doesn't matter to us. I'll say the Celebrity All-Star game is a little more star-studded than it was here in Charlotte. The thing to do now is to clown the rosters for the Celebrity All-Star games. I feel like there are more recognizable names than we're used to seeing over the last couple of years. It's like YouTube streamers that I have no clue who they are, or there might be this is one where I feel like I recognize the names a little bit more.
Yeah. Jeremy Lin, former Hornet. Last time, this is perfect. It's a full circle moment. Last time the Hornets made the playoffs, the real playoffs, 2016, Jeremy Lin was on the squad. Rick Schnall trying to get the Hornets back to the playoffs, and he's playing on Jeremy Lin's All-Star Celebrity game team.
Unbelievable. Okay, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Just final thoughts. Buddy, 8 games. It's like, this is the real deal. It's crazy. We're here, Doug. They're in the 10th seed right now. They have gotten to the point where they are in the play-in tournament if the season were to end today.
What?
After starting 7-18 with all of the health issues showing up again, it was going to be deja vu, deja vu, deja vu, deja vu all over again. Nope. We found a way to steady things. Now they've won 8 games. As much as I apparently care too much about the backup point guard spot, still Jeff Peterson. Clearly a thumbs up. Going after Coby White for a guy that was not going to be a part of your future plans. They wanted the early birds rights on Coby White as well. And this was the thing. They sought him out because they do have Coby in their future plans. Jeff Peterson even said it openly. We hope he's a Charlotte Hornet for a long time. Bobby Marks reported that along with Wendy on NBA Today. So you just get the inside track. And I know we talked about second-round picks being Bitcoin. It doesn't exist. It's a figment of your imagination. Hell, it got you Coby White. And with all of the guard talk, Coby, it's a gifted ball player who's in control. I love his presence on the team. Still so much an overall win for the Hornets, who seem to be the only team, by the way, acting normal this trade deadline. How odd is it? It's Freaky Friday that the Hornets are the franchise. They're the ones acting normal while everybody else they're doing the weird stuff and trading when we thought they were tanking, and now we have these ultimate tank-offs, and the Hornets are competing while everybody else is looking to bottom out. Freaky Friday. Unbelievable. That'll do it.
And this is just one of the first of these weird Hornets misery records to fall. I mean, you've got the Christmas Day game record that needs to fall. Only team that hasn't done that. Eastern Conference Finals.
Got to get that.
They have never done that. There's so many of these things that they can start to tackle now, but it starts with this one. Mambo number 5 was a top 5 song the last time the Hornets did what they did last night. So my final word is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like Musa, LaMelo, Miles, Khan, Brandon. A little bit of Hornets in my life. Mambo number 8.
Sandra is in our life again. Little Sandra and the sun. Merry all night long. They're in our life again.
Josh Green.
Doug Branson, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Yahoo Sports Daily. Go check it out. Jason Fitz, Caroline Fenton hosting. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio, 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.
A little bit of you makes me your man.